Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Talend Pipeline Designer presentation. My name is Kieran Kirk. I'm the General Manager with IMGS, and with me is Aditya Dote, who is the Pre-Sales Engineer for our Big Data Intelligence Platform Solutions. So this morning, we'll get underway now in a second. We're going to talk about the latest development from Talend, which is Pipeline Designer, which is changing the way that integrations can be built and moving off the studio platform into a more rapid design, agile approach for bringing in both batch and real-time and streaming data. So so within IMGS, we have our data intelligence platform, which consists of three components. So we have Talend, which we're going to talk about today, which is used to ingest data, integrate data, and provide a full data governance and data management suite of tools. We also supply Snowflake as our data warehouse, and Snowflake is the first data warehouse that was designed and built for the cloud. And finally, we also provide Sisense. Sisense is the latest BI solution. It not only provides dashboarding and analytics, but uses AI to help you do instant mashup, and also uses AI to help you drive down into your data and answer the questions you really want to know. And with Sisense, we can embed analytics into whatever workflow you need and however you need it. And with Sisense, its real strength is it lowers the total cost of ownership for your BI solution. But this morning, we're going to speak about Talend. And what we're seeing in the market is that these challenges are happening. So there is a need to speed for your data. It's necessary to meet business needs. So we need to increase productivity because there is a shortage of data engineers that requires productivity increases in automation. So data scientists are hard to get, so you can't have them spending time manipulating data. So you need to speed that up. We also want to be able to accelerate data processing, so to move from batch to real time. And we expect by 2025, 30% of data will be real time. And also be able to keep up with all the other innovations in BI and analytics. And 8% of IT decision makers feel prepared for the future. So we're really seeing that to really meet your digital transformation plans, we really need to speed up your data. So how has Talend looked at that? Well, Talend has made it fast and simple to do cloud data integration. So we can do data from Salesforce to your corporate data warehouse. We can do bulk offload of on-prem data to sources to Redshift or Snowflake. And we can also do streaming from Kafka to cloud data lakes. And with Talend, the Talend Data Fabric, we now have a range of products. So we have, with Talend's acquisition of Stitch, we can do the data loader into things like Snowflake, where you can do very quick loading of data without doing a transformation. Then with Talend Studio, we have the data integration capabilities of integrating data. Also with Talend, then we have the data catalog platform, which allows us to build the metadata of all your data inventory and where your information is and how you're using it. That's really important, and we see that as a big requirement going forward in the industry. An awful lot of organizations don't have a data catalog. So with Talend, the system can crawl your information and automatically build your catalog and document the lineage and the versioning of your information. Then when you have your data and your data catalog, we also have the ability to help you transform and share that information. So with data prep, before your business analysts, they can do data prep in a nice GUI tool to prepare their data before they actually build it into reports. And where there are data quality issues, we can use data stewardship to fix and correct the data. And finally, with the Rested acquisition, Talend have the ability to create APIs and application integration without programming, so that you can actually create these interfaces through the GUI, which is really, really powerful. This morning, we're focusing on data integration. And in Talend, there are three levels of tools for data integration. So I mentioned already, with Stitch, we can ingest quickly and replicate data to the cloud natively. With Pipeline Designer, which is the product we want to talk about today, there is lightweight data integration. It's a web-based client, but it's perfect for batch and streaming of data. And then, of course, Talend Studio, which is Talend's flagship product that is ready for data engineers to create advanced data integrations and ensure data quality and take advantage of the full data community. And you can see with Studio, you can do advanced integration, and it can be used by, data engineers, data scientists, integration specialists. Pipeline Designer, the integration doesn't have to be to the same level of complexity, but meets all these requirements of all these users. So data stewards, analysts who need to create integrations quickly can use Pipeline Designer. So Pipeline Designer is a modern cloud data integration design environment. So it's in the cloud, it's web-based, so it means you can build faster, easier, and smarter, and integrate all your data at any speed, and innovate and scale effortlessly. So some of the key features of Pipeline Designer is one, live preview. So as you're building your integrations, you can actually see the data and see what's happening to the data. It also can do schema on read, so it can actually pick up schema changes automatically. And it can handle both batch and streaming. And these days, it's very important that any system can be extensible with Python. You know, the power of Python means you can then add your own scripts, add your own workflows to the data as well. And it's portable and multi-cloud, so the data can be ran from anywhere. So once you build it through the application, you can run it from anywhere. And again, it can be scaled through Talend Cloud. So really, the elasticity is endless based on Talend Cloud. So just to go into those points a bit more detail. So with the live preview, you follow the continuous design paradigm applied to the graphical pipeline. The dataset sample is propagated all the time as you design the pipeline, and live preview lives in the engine. So again, it's really, as you're building your little integrations, you can see the data, take the sample set of the data, and shows you what's happening to the data through your pipeline. Also, with the schema on read, it means it's more easier and flexible. So it automatically discovers the schema of the data that you're connecting to, and can adapt automatically to those schema changes. And it's easy then to search and use the hierarchical schemas as well. So really makes that flexibility, and that time cuts down the DevOps time to create these integrations. Again, I mentioned already, because it's extensible with Python, you can it's a perfect language to work with the hierarchical or formatted records. It can emit less or more records than an input, and you can create custom mappings and define complex filtering conditions. So, and also if you have existing Python code, then you can bring that into the application and reuse it. And it is by using the Google Beam paradigm and technology. We have ultimate portability across every cloud, so you can run in batch and real time on Amazon or Azure or wherever you need to. So it really is portable and can be used anywhere. And of course, with Talend Cloud, you can scale. So with the Pipeline Designer, they can be published naturally to Talend Cloud and managed. With Studio, we can push our Java and artifacts up as well. And with the API artifacts services, we can push them to the cloud. So that's all managed through TMC or Talent Management Console. So really allows us to take advantage of the latest in cloud technology. And of course, one big thing with a lot of Talend technology when it comes to cloud is it can also use remote engines. So we have the remote engine concept where we can have a remote engine on premise, and then the cloud technology can be used to process the data while still leaving the data on premise. So, and this is the common data set architecture. So we've got our Pipeline Designer now. We've still got our data preparation and the inventory app, which comes out of the catalog. And we have our connectors and auto profiling and being able to search the metadata. So again, really Talend are providing that single data management platform, which can be run completely in the cloud. So you can see the kind of apps that are now coming out, the Pipeline Designer, data prep, all very common. And with this Pipeline Designer, means we can handle both batch and data in motion, both batch processing and stream processing, which goes through Pipeline Designer, talks to the Apache Beam, and then pushes out, and then it can then meet multiple profiles and run whether it's services, Spark, or wherever. So really, the scale and moving to this serverless concept means that the data can then be run very, very quick in these new architectures. And then we have our remote engine for pipeline. So again, as mentioned earlier on, you can have the remote engine on premise to get the information, and it can bring the data in. So that's my slides for today. So I'm going to hand over to Aditya, who's going to give you a demonstration of Pipeline Designer.
So, thanks, Karen, and hello everyone. So, Karen has already kind of briefed as to what Pipeline Designer is and where the data integration paradigm is really moving. So I'll just get started. So what I have done is I have logged into my Talend Cloud, and from here through the app, I can, you can select the application which you want to work on. So we'll see, we are seeing Talend Pipeline Designer today. So as soon as, you select this, so what you get is, on the left-hand side, you have your connections, data sets, and then pipelines. So let's start with connections. So if you click on it, so you can define the connection or the source with which you want to connect to. So for this demo, what we are seeing is that I have defined two connections, which is in Snowflake, and basically these are the two schemas that I have created. One is public and the other one is dashboard. So just to give you a brief as to what I am trying to achieve here is that I have a live feed which is coming from City Bike New York, which is a cycling kind of system, and then they have a GBFS feed, which is a live API call with which you can see the number of cycles available, number of cycling stations that are kind of active and running in New York City. Mostly it's mostly live, and so that feed I am getting it using another Talend ESB component, and I am storing the raw data in my public schema. And then what I have done is that I have used pipeline to design a data flow, which transforms this raw data and stores it into my dashboard schema, which is again in Snowflake. So that's why I have defined these two tables, and then we'll see that how we can transform data using Pipeline Designer, quickly, swiftly, and in an agile manner. And then we'll see, some of the analytical, some of the BI visualization using Sisense on top of it. So that's the connection part. If you click on the data set, so you can then kind of add data sets which are available in your connections that you have defined. So now remember, these connections can be your streaming connections or batch connections. So for example, you might have a Kafka stream, or Amazon Kinesis stream, or it might be a batch data, and which is in our case, we have Snowflake, which is our batch source for data processing. So these are the tables that I have added. So now doc status live and cycle status live are the table that my pipeline will create after it transforms the data, which is available in station information and station status, which is basically the raw data. Now let's coming to the main part of the webinar, which is pipelines. So you can see here that I have two pipelines here, and both have type batch. So what it means is that how Pipeline Designer is different from say Talend Studio or other ETL design tool is that based on your source, it can automatically identify whether it's a batch design or it's a streaming design. So you basically, that's how you get this portability, and basically you kind of decouple your design and run. So you can design a pipeline which you can run in batch mode or streaming mode. So I am doing it in batch mode as of now. So based on the data source, it has identified it. So let's just see what the small pipeline design, the data design that I have. So what you see here, that this is my source, which is station status. So it's reading the table, Snowflake table, which again is getting populated by a Talend ESB component that we discussed earlier. What you also get is an option to see, preview in different formats, as Karen already mentioned that you can get live preview, but also you have different options. For example, you might have a Python, Java data, so you can see it in, index forms, or basically in key and value pair form. Or I'll select the grid mode because I have tables. So these are the processors. So in Talend pipeline terminology, we call them processors, and you might be familiar that you can call it as components or transformers. So basically the idea is that these processors read the payload and then transform the payload. So with live preview, the benefit is that it makes designing pretty fast, So if you can see here that if you click processor, you will see what was the input data set, and after the operation, what's the output data set or output row. And on right hand side, you can see that you get options to configure. So each processor might have a different configuration, and based on that, you can define as to what you want to do with the data that's coming in. For example, this one is simple field selector. So what I'm doing is, since I am performing a join operation here, so I don't want many fields coming out for the end processing. So I'm just selecting the fields that are important to me. The other thing is that it's schema on read. So how it's beneficial is that you don't have to define a table schema beforehand. So now it has other advantages as well. For example, if you see it in a hierarchical format, so you might have like text files, CSV data, JSON, Parquet, or your Avro data set, which is more common in streaming data design and pipelining, and those data sets have hierarchies. So now with the schema on read, you make your data pipeline resilient to changes. For example, you don't have to worry about as to how many columns are coming in. So Talend will automatically identifies it, and it reads the columns that are already been configured, and it won't break. So that's kind of pretty useful while you are working on a hierarchical structure. So that's the other kind of added advantage that Karen spoke is about using Python. So Python again makes your pipeline extensible, and if you already have a Python code, you can kind of import it in the pipeline. So what I have done here is so if I switch to grid mode, so I'll just tell you what this small Python code is doing, and then it again also shows the benefit of having live preview. Is to what I have here is last reported. So now this is a Unix-based timestamp which is coming from GBFS feeds, and it is basically the timestamp when the record was inserted through the API. And now, since I have to do some visualization, I will transform it in a pretty text string, and so it's readable. It's a readable timestamp. So to do that, I have used a small Python code here. So it takes my last reported input, which is just a number, and then it uses a from timestamp, which is a function of datetime module, and it converts that numeric number to a UTC based local time. So and then what I'm doing is the time that I have got, I am subtracting 5 hours from that time, because I know that how this from timestamp module works is it gets the timestamp from your local machine. So that's basically the Ireland time or the Dublin time. But the feed that we are getting is from New York. So I know that we have to minus, like it's New York is GMT minus 5. So I'm just subtracting 5 hours. So, and then again, just I am getting that output into a last reported variable. I'm storing it in the same table. So what you get as an output is pretty formatted string time, which it's readable, and it's basically now you can make sense as to what last reported is rather than just going with this number. So that's where the Python bit comes in, and it's kind of a pretty useful feature. And again, with live preview, it makes designing a pipeline pretty fast and robust. You can straight away see the input and the operation that you perform and the output you get. And now this is a major paradigm shift from the from the legacy or the conventional data integration that we have in place. As first you kind of develop your pipeline or develop your workflow, and then you compile it, and then you deploy it, then you run it, and then you debug it to what's working and what's not. So now, I'll just briefly summarize as to what it's doing now. Is since my raw feed has information about cycles and the cycle stands or the stations, so I want to separate them out in different tables so that it's easier to visualize it in size sense. So this is the bit that it's doing it, and then it's creating two separate tables for cycle status and cycle dock status. Now let's run it. So before running it, so as Karen already mentioned that you have You can run it wherever you want, so it's multi-cloud, it's portable. So you have to run it, you have to define an environment in which you want to run this design. For that, you have to define a remote engine, and how you can do it is, I'll just show you quickly. I go to management console. Sorry, I think I have logged off. Yeah, so if you go to management console here, and from engines, I have created this remote engine for pipeline. So if you click on it, so this is my engine, and the run profile I have attached with it. Now what the run profile is so you have your remote engine, and as I already mentioned that this design is basically you decouple your data pipeline design and your run environment. So you have this remote engine which I have basically defined in my local machine, or you can have it on your cloud or on a VPC, and then you define a profile or basically the background distributed environment in which you want to run your design. So what options you have for running your design is that you can go for a big data environment. For example, you can have an Amazon EMR cluster which basically runs on MapReduce, or if you want to perform some machine learning operations, so you can use a database cluster. So if you just click a database cluster, you have to provide information as to what the cloud provider is and how many number of workers you want to assign, and then the rest of the information. But then how it makes it interesting is that you have the same design which you can use it, and which you can use it for your machine learning requirements, or you can run it in big data, or say Amazon EMR cluster for MapReduce, or you can use a Spark cluster. So moving forward, you might see that another pioneering technology or the distributed environment that might come up. For example, Apache Flink is the new one which is coming. So we had a MapReduce Hadoop generation, and now we are living in Spark generation. So that's what benefit you get is that you can run your design on whatever environment you want.
So just to take the pause there for a second. So
yeah.
for some of the people on the webinar, so Databricks is a really powerful machine learning component that runs serverless.
Yeah.
So again, Talend have integrated with Databricks for a couple of years now. But that's a really interesting what we're doing here. So Databricks runs in the cloud. It's clusterized. So if we wanted to say run a predictive maintenance machine learning model or a customer churn model in Databricks, we take data through Pipeline Designer, connect to Databricks, which is in the cloud, pick it, and then it just takes that data, pushes it up, and then uses that capability of Databricks to do the real machine learning. And as you said, it's not just Databricks, it's being able to use Amazon or Azure to use their cloud processing, or because we can use the Apache Spark, which comes from the Apache Beam kind of run anywhere concept. As long as you can connect to it, you can run this wherever you want to run it.
Yeah.
So, and then there's other distributed or serverless functions coming in the future as well. So again, it's just taking advantage of these new data processing technology stacks.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, like if a new environment comes in, and if it might improve your performance of the same design, that you might go with that environment rather than running on MapReduce and Hadoop, which is sometimes get cumbersome to run. So that's one of the benefits that you get with Pipeline Designer. So let's run it. And so the idea is that it will read the raw data that's coming in, transform it, and stores it in Snowflake table. So so what I have done is just to see the data in user-friendly or BI friendly environment. So I am using Sisense, and I have created a small dashboard which shows as to how many stations are active in New York City as of now, the number of bikes that are available for use, and the number of dogs that are available. And then these are the most busy stations. So I think you should avoid going there, or you should basically be cautious, or check before you go to pick up a bicycle. So, and then what I have also done is Sisense also provides Sisense blocks, which is a feature which you can put into your dashboard, and you can perform actions on your dashboard, or you can perform inputs, or you can take inputs from user and ask a certain operations to run on an application. So that's what I have done here. I have if you click on this refresh button, under the hood, what it does is it calls a webhook, which is a reverse API, to my Talend API, Talend DSB component, which runs and gets the data from GBFS feed, stores it in Snowflake, and then we run your pipeline designer. So if you go back and hopefully, so it has run successfully. So it has stored the data. Now that data is available for us to kind of visualize it. So I'll just refresh it because we might have lost the connectivity to. It's better to refresh it. So if you can see that although we are running in batch mode, but now the data has changed. So it's not still the real-time information, but it's in batch mode, and you can see the information with 2, 3, or 4 minutes of latency that now 21,000 bytes are available to us, and the number of active stations has changed. So again, this So this is a brief overview of Talend Pipeline Designer, and again, so you can also publish it. So you can publish it as an artifact to your cloud console. So for example, here I am, if I run it, what I'm doing is now this is a cloud-based Talend scheduler, which I have implemented, to basically run my Talend DSB component. But again, you can publish your pipeline artifacts in Talend Cloud, and then you can run as per your need, or you can define a schedule for it. So again, you can make use of Talend Cloud Management Console for all your aspects of Pipeline Designer, and basically get started with designing your pipeline pretty easily and in an agile way. So I think that's all from my end. And
all right, thank you, Didier. So the okay, so thanks. So yeah, just on the use cases there, what Didier showed was a live data feed going into Snowflake and then going out into the BI in Sisense, and being able to see that data and stream in that data, or pick that data in very quickly. So what you've seen this morning with Pipeline Designer is that we're able to build faster, easier, and smarter. So you can access your data faster. It can broaden data access to more users. And because we can take advantage of these new technologies, for these serverless technologies and cloud technologies, we can get to the insights faster. So cutting down the DevOps time, so quicker to make the integrations, and then of course, because we can take advantage of these really, really fast analytics and fast analytic technologies, we can get the business insight faster and not spend lots of time processing and massaging data. And of course, it's future-proof. So if you, as Didier mentioned, if you need to move the integration to a different and run it on a different platform in the future, it's very, very easy. So again, and it's reinventing data integration for the modern platform. So we'd like to thank you for coming to our session this morning. And we'd like to wish you, from myself and Didier, and also Tanya, who's been managing the controls in the background, a happy Christmas and a prosperous new year. And we'll be back talking to you soon with a new webinar in January, February. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a nice day. Bye.